Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 72 of the best sports show out. You're watching Highly Opinionated. I'm your co-host, Josh. Ladies and gentlemen, the best co-host in the game, the host of the Club JG podcast, co-host here on Highly Opinionated, my guy, JG. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Josh, Ross, what's going on with you guys, man? Always good to be here. How's everything?
We are good, brother. Always great to be in your presence, man. See you doing great things over there at the club. Over there with Club JG podcast, man. Let the world know what's going on with it.
Yeah, we just dropped episode 222 with a good friend of mine, Ms. Jasmine Brown. She's a former social media coordinator with both Bleacher Report and ESPN. Came through, dropped some knowledge, gave her thoughts on the Super Bowl and also what's going on with the WNBA. It looks like that they're headed for a lockout soon, and she dropped her expertise and gave her perspective on this. So definitely appreciate her doing that. And we're gonna keep this train rolling with Club JG. We got more coming.
Absolutely, man. Put out great content every week, man. Keep up the great work. I watch, I'm subscribed, so keep up the great work, brother.
Appreciate that.
Ross, ladies and gentlemen, the most important guy here on Highly Opinionated. What's up, Ross? How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How you feeling, Josh?
I'm good. I can't complain, man. I hope all is well with you.
Yeah, I can't complain. Definitely ready to get to the episode.
I want to thank you guys for watching episode 71. Shout out our guest last week, Coach Davis. Shout out my amazing co-host, Tim. Obviously, Tim will be back in August when football comes back. So hopefully me and JG can hold it down. Tim is doing great things with Wolves of War. You guys make sure you shop, subscribe, and follow Wolves of War. I mean, again, Tim is doing great things, man. So look forward to having Tim back in August. We thank Coach Davis for coming on and dropping his knowledge on episode 71. And again, it's episode 72. We aim to please. We're the best sports show out. You guys, the fans, you guys make us what we are. So we appreciate you guys liking, comment, and subscribing. On that note, Ross, let them know where they can follow us at on our social medias.
Yes, sir. Y'all can follow us on Instagram at highlyopinionated__. Follow us on TikTok at highlyopinionated_SS. Follow us on Twitter or X at highly_SS. And of course, y'all already on YouTube, so make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Again, we appreciate all the likes, following. We appreciate all the interactions that you guys give us. You guys make Highly Opinionated what it is. JG, my brother, ready to get episode 72 started?
Yes, sir, bro. Let's get to work.
Let's get to work. Let's start off work with the NFL news. Quick thought. We have not heard from you after the Seattle Seahawks won Super Bowl 60 against the New England Patriots 29-13. Your thoughts on Seattle winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was. I honestly thought I had Seattle winning this game. I didn't think that anybody really was going to play well against that Seattle defense. I just thought that they were going to be that dominant and that they took over the game from the beginning. There was a quote, I guess, from a player, I guess like someone that allegedly heard. They said that they knew that they had this game in hand literally after the second series. And whenever you hear that from a player, that resonates with the rest of the unit and eventually with the rest of the team. So you have that kind of mindset, knowing that you got somebody that early in the game. That tells a lot. Now, the Patriots defense, I thought played tremendous. They're doing the best they could to keep this game close with their offense being an absolute no-show. But the thing was, I don't even blame Drake May all that much. Did he have a great game? Absolutely not. He didn't have that good of a postseason, in my opinion. It was a precipitous drop-off from what we saw in the regular season. But I give more credit to the Seattle defense. I don't care who you have lined up on the outside. If you cannot run the football, if you cannot protect your quarterback, he's not going to be effective. It doesn't really matter how much of a talent you are. Will Campbell, their left tackle, had no chance in this game. He was absolutely dominated and targeted the entire game. Drake May had no time to throw the football, and that was really the story of the game. They scored a little bit later in the game, but it was already over. You know, the Seattle defense came into this game and took over. Sam Darnold, congratulations to him. You know, everyone knows the story, the redemption story of him getting drafted by the Jets in that loaded 2018 draft class with Baker Mayfield at number 1, Sam Darnold, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. He is the first quarterback of that class to win the Super Bowl. If you said to me even a year ago that Sam Darnold would be the first one to do it out of that class, I probably would have been like, wait, what? Huh? But look, elite coaching on both sides, on both teams. Mike McDonald, who was in the Ravens building, has proven to be an elite coach. Kenny Walker ended up being the MVP. I didn't expect Kenny Walker to go off the way that he did against his Patriots defense. I thought that one thing that this past front four did well was stopping the run and setting the tone in that point. So I thought that if Kenny Walker was going to be effective, it would be more in the receiving game versus the running game. He ended up having well over 100 yards and ended up being the MVP. So and Sam Darnold, I can't give him enough credit. Not the most gaudy numbers, but the thing that he did was not turn the football over. He did not give the Patriots a short field, which is what the 3 previous quarterbacks that Drake May beat to get to the Super Bowl, they all did the same thing. They gave the Patriots a short field, and he took full advantage. Sam Darnold did not do that. He took care of the football. If it wasn't there, he threw it away. An incompletion is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's way better than a turnover. Sam Darnold played an excellent postseason, and he's a well-deserved Super Bowl champion. And he's a testament to, look, never giving up on yourself and also that coaching matters. It's not always about the talent. It's the who's coaching the team, what kind of coach you have. It matters. So congrats to the Seattle Seahawks.
Absolutely. I agree with everything that you said. Take it a step further. I said this last week in episode 71. When I do my top 10 NFL quarterback rankings of going into next season, of this past season, Sam Darnold will be in there. He's earned that. You don't have 2 back-to-back 14-plus win seasons. You won 14 games last year with the Vikings. You won 14 games with Seattle this year. So you don't do that if you're not a good to very good quarterback. So he's definitely silenced the critics. I've been a critic of him. He shut me up. I thought Seattle would lose every playoff game. I picked San Fran. I picked the Rams. I picked the Patriots. So
I'm right there with you. I'm a critic too. So I own that. I've been a critic of Sam Darnold, but he showed me that I could no longer be a critic after that Rams game and the NFC Championship game. I thought that was the game where it's like, all right, I stand down. Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. He was just in a bad situation, and he's finally with the right team.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And the thing is that with Baker Mayfield being my guy, Lamar Jackson being your guy, Josh Allen being in that quarterback class, Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold, like you said, if you would have told me Sam Darnold was going to be the first one to win the Super Bowl, I'd be like, yeah, what you smoking on? You feel me? But no, he deserves all the credit in the world, man. He's earned it. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks winning Super Bowl 60, 29-13. So now that the Super Bowl is over, NFL, the news-making machine that it is, it never sleeps. And we have our first big quasi-offseason move. The Miami Dolphins are cleaning house. They've released guard James Daniels. They've released pass rusher defensive end Bradley Chubb. And they released star wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was coming off a torn ACL. He played in only 5 games last year. John, what teams do you think should be on the phone with Tyreek Hill, interested in his services?
Well, I mean, I think every team in the NFL should be on the phone for Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's still one of the best, one of the most electrifying receivers in the NFL. I understand that he's 32 years old now and coming off a major injury, but that's still Tyreek Hill until I see otherwise. So I think every team in the league should be on the phone. Who I think he'll actually, go to, I think you can narrow it down to maybe 3, maybe 4 teams. And at the top of the list, you can't help but think one certain former team is going to be on the phone with Tyreek. That'd be the Kansas City Chiefs, as they need Tyreek Hill. I know Xavier Worthy's there. I know Rashee Rice is a budding star, but as we saw, they needed more than that. And we don't know the situation with Patrick Mahomes as far as his injury. We're not sure if he'll be ready in time for next season. We're not sure about Travis Kelce, even though it's rumored that he will likely be back more so than retire. We're not sure about the offensive line. We're not sure about the defense and everything. There's questions in the kingdom, but one question you can answer is getting Tyreek Hill back in the building with the receivers you have. That would immensely help Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs team as they try to rebuild and gear up for to try to copycat the Patriots and have like a second act with their dynasty. And another team that should be on the phone is the Buffalo Bills. Everyone's crying and complaining about the Buffalo Bills need more help for Josh Allen. They need more wide receiver help. Well, Tyreek Hill would answer that question in a heartbeat. So that's a team that definitely needs to be on the phone with them. Pittsburgh Steelers should be on the phone. Baltimore Ravens should be. I
don't know. I don't know what Buffalo are. I don't know if they're complaining about Buffalo. I think he does need some receiver help in Buffalo.
The GM just totally outed one of their receivers.
Well, the owner.
I'm sorry, the owner. Yeah, the owner basically went out and outed one of his own young receivers, which I think was to this day one of the most craziest things I've ever seen from an owner, in a press conference. So I think Tyreek Hill would probably really help out a lot with Josh Allen. The Pittsburgh Steelers, like I was saying, would definitely, they need like a wide receiver to DK Metcalf. At times they became a little too one-dimensional, even though some of that can be contributed to Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, who's no longer there. But those are the teams that come to mind. The Baltimore Ravens, of course, I think, even though I don't think they're going to do this, but I think they're a team that could use the services of Tyreek Hill. But he still, in my opinion, has the ability to be one of the more electrifying receivers in the league, even at his advanced age.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially in the right situation. You mentioned some teams that I think he should obviously be interested in him. Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills, those two teams at the top of my list. I agree with that. I'm going to switch it to the NFC. I'm looking at the San Francisco 49ers. They struck out on Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk won't be a San Francisco 49er next year. He still gets to play in, warm climate. And I think as you get older, warm climate matters. And if you look at this division, Arizona plays inside, the Rams play inside, 49ers play outside, but they're in California. And Seattle is the only cold weather place that you would have to play. And depending on how early you play Seattle, it might not be as cold as it would be. It's not as cold in Seattle. Like, give you an example. San Francisco played Seattle week 1 this season. Well, it wasn't, it was nice out. It wasn't as cold. It was basically summertime as they planned them later in the season. So I'm looking at San Francisco, I'm looking at Buffalo, and I'm looking at Kansas City. But it's hard for me to imagine that he won't go back to Kansas City. They're getting the band back together. I think Travis Kelce will play next season. They hired Eric Bieniemy to be the offensive coordinator. Obviously, they're hoping on Patrick Mahomes to come back and be the Patrick Mahomes that we all know and love. So might as well bring back Tyreek Hill. And the Hollywood Brown experience, Marquise Hollywood Brown experience hasn't worked. He's been injured, inconsistent play at times. So obviously Tyreek Hill can definitely help. And Tyreek Hill can take his time. You have Xavier Worthy on the roster and you have Rashee Rice on the roster. So for me, I think Tyreek Hill, Buffalo, Kansas City, or San Francisco.
Those are good options, especially San Francisco is definitely interesting to me because, like you said, John Lynch just came out and said that Ayuk will not be back. Like, it's 100% basically a foregone conclusion that he will not be back as a 49er. They're basically done with him. And over the past couple of years, we shouldn't be surprised. So Tyreek Hill could definitely fill in that void for Brock Purdy out there with the younger receivers that he has. So that's definitely a good one in the NFC. I briefly thought about the Rams, even though that would be ridiculous because you already have Puka along with Devontae Adams, adding an older Tyreek Hill as a wide receiver 3. I mean, forget about it. Honestly, if that were to happen, I think we know who's going back to the Super Bowl, which happens to be in LA next year, if that were to happen. But like your San Francisco pick, Buffalo and Kansas City, even with Kansas City being the most obvious pick, I think makes the most sense too as well.
Yeah, but obviously, I love the idea of adding Tyreek to Devontae. I love the idea of adding Tyreek to Devontae and Puka. But we saw in the NFC Championship game, they need defense. They need cornerback help. That segue us into Bradley Chubb. But I feel like the Rams need a pass rusher and they need another corner. They need another pass rusher to go with Fisk and Jared Verse. Yeah, Verse. Fisk and Verse to go with him and Young. They got two great defensive tackles, good defensive tackles. Got one pass rusher in Verse. They need somebody else on the other side. And they need a corner where they can draft a corner or sign a corner. I've been saying this throughout the season. And maybe he retired. I didn't know, but I'm surprised they didn't sign Stephon Gilmore. You could have signed him later on in the season, like let's say week 13, let his body train up week 13 through week 15, and then let him play week 16, week 17, week 18, and then you rev him up for the playoffs. So what do you think about Bradley Chubb? What teams do you think should be interested in that?
Sorry, real quick on Stephon Gilmore. Like, I agree that was definitely a weird one. He didn't get signed by anybody all season long. And Trayvon Diggs ended up getting signed by the Packers for that little run they had before they ended up releasing him. So you don't know. Maybe the Rams might look into that, or possibly maybe look in the draft to replace that, because their Achilles heel all year was defense and also special teams. People don't really take a lot of stock in the special teams, but it matters. Special teams, I think, really is what turned the game in the NFC Championship game when Xavier Smith fumbled that punt and put Sam Darnold in that Seahawks defense in prime position to score again. So that was critical. So they really have to shore up the special teams thing for sure. But I agree with you on pass rusher and corner. Bradley Chubb, this is another guy that at 29 years old, he is a great pass rusher. I think he can service a lot of teams in the NFL. Your Rams pick is a good idea. I think the Baltimore Ravens, they struggle with pass rush, especially this past season. That's a team that should definitely be on the phone with Bradley Chubb. The 49ers could use him for sure, just to bulk up that defensive line, especially with the injuries they've sustained, Nick Bosa and company. So those are like three teams that jump off at the tip of my mind for the moment. But I can definitely see Bradley Chubb. Again, this is a guy that can help any team in the NFL. Like him and Tyreek Hill, these guys are the Philadelphia Eagles. They love to stack up on talent on the defensive line even when they don't need to. But I can see the Philadelphia Eagles going after Bradley Chubb. They already got Jaden Phillips from Miami. They already have an embarrassment of riches on that defensive line. Why not add another one? And knowing Howie Roseman, who I think is the best GM in the NFL, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he found a way to get Bradley Chubb in the building.
Yeah, Bradley Chubb was coming off a season. He had 8.5 sacks this season. So 2025. He had 11 sacks. He missed 2024. He had a knee injury. He had 11 sacks in 2023. So the last 2 seasons he's played, he has 19.5 sacks. I agree with you. He can help a lot of teams. You mentioned the Ravens. He can definitely help them. The Eagles are going to be in on everybody. We know that because that's just how good Howie Roseman is. So we understand that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers need a pass rusher. San Francisco, like you said, need a pass rusher. The Cincinnati Bengals need a pass rusher. I mean, every team in the NFL, desperately needs a pass rusher. Cincinnati Bengals need a lot of help on defense, but pass rusher is one of them. They got their own problem with Trey Henderson. Very interested to see where he goes this offseason. But
Cincinnati needs a lot of stuff, like from top to bottom. I don't think it's just pass rush. They need everything.
They need everything. That defense was horrendous. Them and the Cowboys. The Cowboys defense improved as the season progressed because they went out and got some players. We get that. Cincinnati kept the status quo, and that's why they were bad throughout the season. So I definitely agree with you on that. But Bradley Chubb can help a team whether he's a full-time starter or a rotational piece. If he goes to a team like Philly and San Francisco, he'll be a rotational piece. That might be to his benefit. If he goes to a team like Tampa Bay, Baltimore, or somebody like that, then he'll be the definite, more likely day one starter. So he can definitely help a team. He definitely can come in and still produce and get to the quarterback. And you know this better than anyone, brother. If you can't get to the quarterback, you can't win.
No, you cannot. And I watched an example of that all season long. And really, that's just the story of the game. To quote the great Tim Adams from Highly Opinionated, the defensive line controls the game. We saw it. The Philadelphia Eagles controlled the line of scrimmage all last year in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. Kansas City never had a chance. We saw it again with Seattle. They controlled the Patriots' offensive line, and they dominated this game.
You can take it to the college ranks.
Yep.
Look at, I know they didn't win a national championship. Look at Miami. They got a national championship. Mesidor and Bain. Those two, that dominant defensive line in the playoffs. That's what spurred them on to get to the college football national championship game. I know they lost to Indiana, but still, that defense was to me was the main reason. Carson Beck did his job. I said this to Tim when we talked about college football. Like, Carson Beck is the best game manager in college. Well, obviously, you could make a case that's probably Fernando Mendoza. He won the Heisman, put up the gaudy numbers, and he still can manage the game. But Miami's defense was the main reason why I was so high on them. What they did, not only on the offensive line in the trenches, but the defensive line. So, yeah, if you can't win in the line of scrimmage, you're not going to win. Just point blank, period. So, we definitely think Bradley Chubb can definitely help a team. The fact is that, again, everyone in the NFL can use a pass rusher. Like, you can have 5 pass rushers. You would go out and get a 6 pass rusher just so you can keep that consistent pressure on the quarterback. And you have to with the skill and the talent of these quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers and tight ends in the NFL.
It doesn't matter how good your secondary is on paper. If you cannot get to the quarterback, they're going to get torched. It doesn't matter who you have out there in the secondary.
Yeah, you gotta have defense is 3 levels. Everyone on all 3 levels have to equal up to be that dominant defense. You got to have a good pass rush. You got to have good linebackers. Got to have good secondary. If you have that, which we saw with the Seattle Seahawks, you can be a Super Bowl champion, like the Seattle Seahawks, like we saw with the Philadelphia Eagles last season as well. John, before we get out of here on the NFL news, let's talk about the 10 coaches the 10 teams that have hired new coaches. The New York Giants, new coach is John Harbaugh, a guy you know very well. The Atlanta Falcons' new coach is Kevin Stefanski. The Miami Dolphins head coach is Jeff Hafley. The Pittsburgh Steelers hired Mike McCarthy. The Buffalo Bills hired Joe Brady. The Cleveland Browns hired Todd Monken. The Arizona Cardinals hired Mike LaFleur. The Las Vegas Raiders hired Clint Kubiak. The Tennessee Titans hired Robert Saleh. The Baltimore Ravens, your Baltimore Ravens, hired Jesse Minter. I'll let you quickly speak on your Baltimore Ravens, and then you need you to answer this question. Obviously, take the Ravens out. Out of all the other hires, which of the hires, which hires do you like? Which hires do you still have questions
on? I thought the Giants did a good job of getting John Harbaugh. This is a guy that can work with a young quarterback like Jackson Dart. You know, he's a guy that has won a Super Bowl. He understands what it takes. He understands how to build a culture there, and he's well liked around. He's well liked around the league. You know, I haven't heard anyone say a bad thing about John Harbaugh. So just if you're trying to reset the culture and build like a winning atmosphere, John Harbaugh is a good choice. You know, for this Giants team that's trying to find their identity right now. They've got it. I think they have it right with Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors to start. I think they have it right with Cam Scatterboo. They just have to build off of that. But you have 3 draft picks that I think will pan out. So John Harbaugh, I think, is a good one. I think Clint Kubiak, even though I think this is going to be a tall order, I think Clint Kubiak was the right decision for the Raiders. You're likely going to be drafting Fernando Mendoza. You got Tom Brady in there running the show. You know, this is obviously a guy that knows how to win. But I think this was the right hire for this time. But I still think the Raiders have so much to do to reconstruct this team. Their offensive line is horrid. Their defense can't stop anybody. You've got Brock Bowers, but you now are a little bit concerned about his health because he's been injured the past couple of seasons and hasn't been able to finish out. You got Ashton Genty back there and running back. But again, you got to fix his offensive line so Genty can actually have somewhere to run. And then you got to fix his defense for sure. So there's a lot of work to be done here, but I think Kubiak is definitely a great hire for the Raiders. So that. One of these hires I'm not so sure about. We got to start in Atlanta with Kevin Stefanski. If you haven't been reading, on social media these past few weeks or even the past month, Atlanta fans are not excited about Kevin Stefanski. They're to put it like bluntly, they're not at all. They're like DC Young Fly, one of my favorite comedians. He probably put it on the head the most. Like he just because they saw like how he was with Shedeur Sanders in particular. Well, now you got Michael Penix Jr. coming in. So what's going to happen there? He came from the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, he was a 2-time coach of the year, but really hasn't had that much success in Cleveland. When you look at the win-loss record, developing young quarterbacks is something that you pay attention to when you hire a new coach with the situation that they have. So Atlanta fans, by and large, are not very happy about it. So that'll be the more interesting hire. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on that to see how that goes. And I can say the same, surprisingly, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but Joe Brady with Buffalo. There are a lot of Buffalo fans that are not excited about, Joe Brady, being promoted to head coaching. Now, I think it is a good hire because I thought it made the most sense because Joe Brady worked directly with Josh Allen and helped him to his MVP season, cutting down on those turnovers, running the football more as opposed to Josh Allen putting the ball in harm's way. So I'm a little like 50-50 with Joe Brady. I think it actually will be a good hire, but it did kind of like have me with a raised eyebrow that the reception from a lot of Buffalo fans was not what I expected. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, let me touch on Kevin Stefanski first. So, yeah, they don't like him because of what happened in Cleveland with Shedeur Sanders. That's part of it. Who's Shedeur Sanders' father?
Browntown Deion Sanders.
What team drafted Deion Sanders when he first came into the league? What was the first team he played for? Gotcha. Who drafted?
That'll be Atlanta.
The Atlanta Falcons. So we understand that. We understand that parallel. We understand that situation. For me, Well, let me do this. I'm gonna give you a chance quickly to talk about what your feelings on Jesse Minter as a Ravens head coach before I go.
Yeah, Jesse Minter. This is a good hire by the Ravens. This is a guy that is a young defensive coordinator with the Chargers. When he got there, the Chargers became a top 5 defense. This is a guy that understands the Raven identity. You know, it starts on the defensive side of the football. I think he will bring the aggression back to the Ravens defense. I thought the past handful of years has gotten very soft. It's gotten very passive. It's gotten very play not to lose versus play to win. I think Jesse Minter will bring back that attitude and that aggression on the defensive side of the ball, because he's already come out and said in this press conference that he will be calling the defense. But I also am very intrigued by his hires with the coordinator jobs. Bringing in Declan Doyle, who was the quarterback's coach for the Chicago Bears, and watching the development of Caleb Williams under Ben Johnson. Doyle worked a lot under Ben Johnson, so he understands how he wants to call offense. He understands what his philosophy is. He brings a newer mindset to Baltimore on offense. It's not going to be this archaic style of offense. And interesting fact, he's the same age as Lamar Jackson. They're both 29 years old. So I know I'm getting old because now, for the first time in my life, cheering for the Ravens, the offensive coordinator is going to be younger than me. So I'm getting old, but this is a new way of thinking that I enjoy with the Ravens that they're bringing. And then also, don't sleep on Anthony Weaver being the defensive coordinator hire for the Ravens. This guy gets it. He was in the building as a player. He understands like what's missing. And again, I get back to aggression. I get back to being the bullies of Baltimore again. We need guys that understand what it means to be that. And if the coach brings that mindset, it's going to spread to the players. And when it spreads to the captains of the team, Roquan Smith, Kyle Van Noy, assuming that he comes back, Kyle Hamilton, like these guys that have been there, understanding like what Ravens defense should look like. These guys get it from a mindset standpoint. I think this roster still has a lot of construction that needs to go under. The offensive line needs help. You know, the secondary, I think, in my opinion, needs help. And you got to get the quarterback on the same page. So a lot of work to do for the Ravens, but I think they're off to a great start with this very pivotal offseason, getting what I believe the right guys for the situation.
Okay. For me, the Ravens' most important thing this offseason, they're going to have to restructure Lamar's contract. They probably do a contract extension. They're going to definitely have to do that. His cap hit this year is $75 million. You can't build a real team with one person making that type of money. So they're going to have to adjust that, and I'm assuming the Ravens will adjust that. Now, as far as the 10 coaches that got hired, I love John Harbaugh being hired by the Giants. I'm looking at the Giants. I think the Giants can be sneaky. Not sneaky. I think the Giants can double their win total. They won 4 games this year. They can definitely win 8 to 10 games next year. I look at them. They need to get a left tackle. They need another receiver. They can use another tight end. They can find those parts in free agency and the draft. If the Giants draft number 5, if they draft Caleb Downs, it's a wrap. I love Caleb Downs going to the Giants. I've seen John Harbaugh with safeties. I've seen him with Ed Reed. I've seen him with Kyle Hamilton, and now I'll see him with Caleb Downs. So I would love that pairing for one Mr. Caleb Downs. The second team that I like, I know Atlanta fans aren't going to love it, but I do. I'm not the biggest Kevin Stefanski fan, but at the same time, you don't win 2 Coach of the Years for nothing. So I like that move for the Atlanta Falcons. That division is very, very winnable. You've seen the team this year winning at 8-9 in the Carolina Panthers. Congratulations to them. I think the Atlanta Falcons, if they can keep that offensive talent together, Kyle Pitts is a free agent. They need to keep him along with Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and the rest of those guys on the offense. That offensive line was injured last season. Going into the season, those starting right tackle will be back this season, McGrary. So I think that – go ahead, bro.
No, I just had a question for you. Do you think that Atlanta drafts a quarterback this year in the first round?
No, I wouldn't. I would sign a quarterback. I would go the veteran route. I would re-sign Kirk Cousins. Let me just say this. I think Kirk Cousins should be. Yeah, I heard that. I saw that. But for me, I know what they're doing. But what I would do, I would re-sign back Kirk Cousins. I would let him play until Penix comes back. Or if they're not going to re-sign him, I would go out and get a veteran quarterback. And I would let the veteran quarterback come in and play while Penix is down. And then whether that's Malik Willis, whether that's Jameis Winston, et cetera, somebody to come in, put them in the right system, put them in, call the right plays and let them orchestrate the offense. The problem with Jameis is Jameis already was in Cleveland with Kevin Stefanski, so he might not want Jameis again, but someone of that ilk can come in and play quarterback and lead the team. So I'm not as down on the Kevin Stefanski hire as everyone else is. especially the fans in Atlanta. Now, for me, I'm going to give you a name that no one is talking about, but I love the coaching staff that they have. And if the quarterback is what he should be because he was drafted number 1 in the draft, the next season he should have a breakout season like what Drake May did this past season. And I'm going down to see. You had Robert Saleh at his second team. So he learned from the first mistakes. He did the perfect thing. He was at the 49ers. He left that defensive coordinator job. He became the head coach of the Jets. He got fired. He went back to Shanahan school because that's how you get a job. You go to 2 names. You go to Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan. Once you get fired, you go back to their school and you'll damn sure get a job opportunity again. So he went to school the right way. He sat in class. He learned of his errors. He learned of his ways. And for me, they have Robert Saleh running that defense, and Brian Daboll took that offensive coordinator job. Brian Daboll was running by multiple teams. He decided I want to be the offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans and let Cam Ward be my quarterback. If Cam Ward is what he should be as the number 1 pick, we know the Titans defense is going to be good because Robert Saleh is going to make your defense good. Look at what the Jets defense was with Robert Saleh, and look at they are now with Aaron Glenn. Difference. They both defensive guys. So that tells you there's one level of coaching that's higher than the other level of coaching. So for me, I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans. I am not saying the Titans are going to the Super Bowl next year. But would it shock me for them going worse to first in the AFC South? Absolutely not. I have my questions about the Houston Texans and their quarterback. I love the Texans defense. The Texans got a championship defense. Their quarterback, I don't know about. Like, the jury is still out. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, we've seen Jacksonville have a good year and then regress. So can you be consistent? And then, even though I didn't get this right, I remember saying this to you when you were on the show and you walked around your place when I said this to you. I told you Daniel Jones and the Colts were going to be good this year. And they were good until he got hurt. Now, yes, he struggled against the Steelers. I got that, whatever. But he still was in position. They should have beat the Rams. If Mitchell don't fumble the ball out of bounds, reaching over the end zone for a touchdown, they beat the Rams. So, but with me saying that, Daniel Jones still tore his Achilles. So he's not going to be ready week 1. He tore his Achilles later in the season. So for me, the AFC South is winnable. And again, with Robert Saleh as the head coach, Brian Daboll running that offense, if Cam Ward is what they should be, because they're going to get talent. The Titans have a lot of cap space. They probably have 5 cap space in the NFL. The Tennessee Titans, man, they can go from worst to first in the AFC South.
I'm not ready to say worst to first, but I do like your pick for the Titans. I think Cam Ward is that guy. He has to get some weapons. Cam Ward didn't have any weapons last year. Let's just call it what it is. Like I think that once the draft gets here with the Titans, they get this guy some weapons, and now we got Brian Daboll calling the shots on offense. It wouldn't shock me at all if Tennessee has him as a vast improvement. I believe in Cam Ward. I don't believe the last season was on him. I just think that it was inept coaching and lack of weapons.
Definitely can make that point. His best weapon was Calvin Ridley, and he didn't play the whole season. You see what I'm saying? So get him some weapons. You can sign some weapons. George Pickens, we don't know the situation with him in Dallas. You might be able to get him away from Dallas. Miami is clearing house. Maybe Jalen Waddle might be available. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. You feel me? You throw out the right offer, you might be able to you can get whoever you want. So there are weapons out there. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I like Rashad Bateman. The Ravens seem to be, that's not
hurting my feelings. That's not hurting my feelings at all. Tennessee can have him.
Oh wow, damn. Okay.
Tennessee can have him.
I like Bateman. I think Bateman can play. So okay, maybe the Titans would be interested in that. So you don't like Bateman?
I'll get on the phone right now with Tennessee and say, what do you want for Bateman? I'll run to Owens Mills and talk to Rashad. Like, oh, we got a deal on number 7. We got a deal for number 7. If you want to hear about it, I'm just saying. I'll be on the scouting team.
So I guess that's a no. I guess that's a no for Rashad Bateman. I got you.
Yeah, I'm good. I
got you. But there are players like that, or obviously players hopefully that you think are better than Rashad Bateman, that the Titans can go out and get to improve the roster. So improve the wide receiver talent, the offensive line talent as well. But one thing we know, with Robert Saleh, that Titans defense is going to be better. And it's all led by that guy in the middle, Jeffrey Simmons. That brother's the problem, one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. So definitely looking forward to see what the Tennessee Titans do. Go ahead, bro. I'll let you in a second. Go ahead.
the Titans haven't done a lot of things right over the past few years, like letting Derrick Henry go, letting Mike Vrabel go. But one thing they did get right was keeping Jeffrey Simmons, not trading him. That was the one thing they did do right, along with Cam Ward.
Yeah, I think the Titans traded A.J. Brown for nobody because Traylon Burks didn't work out, so that was stupid. They fired Mike Vrabel. They let Derrick Henry go for nothing. The problem is he stayed in conference and went to nobody. Most people don't realize this, but the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens have a rivalry. It started with Eddie George and Ray Lewis, so he went to a rival, so that hurt even more. But I will say they might have made up. The jury is still out on Cam Ward. Let's see how he plays next year with better talent around him. But I love the hire of Robert Saleh and again Brian Daboll as an OC. Love the hire, man. I think the Titans, man, they cooking with something. I'm looking at. I'm definitely will be keeping my eye out on them this NFL offseason. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Highly Opinionated. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Highly Opinionated is sponsored by Wolves of War. In some of the episodes, you can see my co-host and Ross wearing a brand called Wolves of War. Wolves of War is our first sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, and we are so thankful to have those guys sponsoring Highly Opinionated. Thank you very much. The actual meaning of Wolves of War is that it represents having a strong path behind you through the battles of life. With the right people behind you, you can get through anything. You guys see the link for Wolves of War? Make sure you guys click on the link, shop, great apparels, t-shirts, sweatsuits, whatever you want, they have. Once again, Wolves of War. Make sure you guys go shop. Welcome back to Highly Opinionated, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time, the best segment in sports. This week's edition of Let's Talk About It. As football season wind down, we gear up for the NBA, and this past weekend was the NBA All-Star Weekend. So, John, the format of All-Star Weekend has changed from when we grew up. I remember it was the rookie versus sophomore game. They changed that, so they broke that down into 4 teams on Friday. It was team Austin Rivers, team Vince Carter, team Tracy McGrady, team Carmelo Anthony. So those teams played series of, they all played each other. They all played each other. One team played one team played another. The winners played each other, and Vince Carter team ended up winning the game. So congratulations to Team Carter. On Saturday, we had the All-Star Saturday. I'm not going to call it a Saturday night because it was at 5 p.m. But All-Star Saturday evening, you had the three-point shootout, which was won by Damian Lillard. You won the dunk contest, which was won by Keyshawn Johnson from the Miami Heat. And we had the shooting stars competition or the skills competition that was won by Team New York. And then Sunday, we had the All-Star game where you had it in 3 teams. You had the Stripes, the Stars, and Team World. And the Stripes won the All-Star. They won the All-Star game, and Anthony Edwards was your All-Star MVP. So, John, just a synopsis of All-Star Weekend. What was your thought on All-Star Weekend? Is the All-Star back, or do you still need to see more?
It was a great step in the right direction. I did love the format more so than I did in the past. I thought that, and I want to give my biggest shout out to Victor Wembanyama because he's the guy that started the intensity and set the tone from the beginning. Like, we're playing serious, we're playing competitive, and from the tip off of the first game, right to the rim dunk on someone. He's not like, this is the guy that he wants to win. And you saw, all we wanted to see was a little bit of compassion, a little bit of effort, guys going at each other. That's all we really wanted to see. It wasn't nothing about anything complicated. It was just the fact of the matter is the effort was in question. People didn't come out here to watch y'all basically do a glorified layup line, scoring 230 points between the two of y'all with zero defense, zero resistance. We just wanted to see a little bit of competitiveness. We want to see Ant going against KD. We want to see LeBron going against Kate Cunningham. We wanted to see those matchups of all-stars, to see a little bit of competition, a little bit of tenacity. Oh, you got me, I gotta get you back. And we want, like we used to see with AI versus Kobe, or when that Jordan's last year in the All-Star game with Vince, AI, Tracy McGrady, they were going at it. That kind of aura and energy is what we wanted to see. So I thought we saw a step in the right direction with that. Could it still be improved? Sure. But I thought that I enjoyed it for the first time in like a few years. I actually enjoyed watching it. That was the big thing for me. Saturday night, hey, the 3-point shootout was awesome. I mean, it was good. It was great to see Damian Lillard out there, and watching him go against Con Knipple, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey, all these guys. Seeing Dame Lillard back in the Portland jersey looks surreal. Given like he spent the past few years with Milwaukee, and it gave especially Trailblazers fans something to smile about. Something to look forward to next season with Dame and Denny Avdija, who was their All-Star this year. I didn't know how he would look, coming off that Achilles injury, but he looked like Dame time, and that's something you love to see. And now there's rumors that Steph Curry will come back and challenge Dame Lillard in the 3-point shootout next year. So we'll see what happens there. But it gave you some excitement, it gave you some aura. And now the slam dunk contest, it was cool, but I'll be honest, like it's hard to really, gravitate with the slam dunk contest, and it's not even because of the guys. It's not even because of like the dunks. Like there was some spectacular dunk attempts. Jace Richardson, thank God he's safe, because that fall looked really bad, when he tried to attempt his dunk. But the problem with the slam dunk contest is, where are the guys? Like, where are the guys? No disrespect to the guys that were participating, but where are the guys? LeBron James, Anthony Edwards, hell, Victor Wembanyama. He's 9 feet tall, but hell, we would have loved to see him in the dunk contest anyway. Where are the guys? I didn't want to see Jackson Hayes out there. I knew literally when Jackson Hayes got the basketball, when he came out, I was like, this dunk's going to suck. I knew it. Like, I knew it before it even happened. Like, this is going to be trash. And it ended up being just as bad as I thought. And they gave this man the thing that was egregious. Dwight gave this man a 45 for that dunk. And I'm like, Dwight, you of all people, I know you trying to like, give the big some love, man, but like that was just like, it was so Jackson Hayes should have never been in the competition. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. But it sucked. Like, and I hated that. I hated to say it. It's like Johnson and Carter Bryant from the Spurs, these guys are super athletic. They can fly. I was impressed with some of the stuff they were doing, but it's just the dunk contest ain't so much people saying like, well, how many more ways can you really dunk? And I'm saying it ain't about the dunks. It's about who's out there. Like, we used to love watching Jordan, Wilkins, Spud Webb, Nate Robinson winning it 3 times, Dwight Howard winning 3 times, winning it a couple times, Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon, Kobe Bryant, our guy, Kobe Bryant being out there. We ain't never seen LeBron James. We ain't never seen Anthony Edwards do it. We ain't never seen some of these guys that we know can fly go out there. LeBron would do a dunk contest in the layup lines on the road just to get some oohs and ahs. So even at the advanced age of 41 that he is, he can still do it. So, and the fact that he's never done the dunk contest is one of the biggest atrocities in NBA history, in my opinion. People out here saying that he didn't flat out ruin the dunk contest because he just never did it. We're like begging Matt McClung to come back and do the dunk contest. That's how like low of a product is. And Matt McClung is a 3-time champion. He don't even play in the league.
Matt McClung, Georgetown's finest, bro.
Georgetown and Texas Tech's finest, bro. That's who we're asking to come back to save the dunk contest right now. And we all know Matt McClung can fly, but it's like, yo, my biggest thing was that is where are the guys? Where are the stars? The All-Star Weekend is about the stars. Again, I'm not trying to disrespect the guys that were in the dunk contest. They did their thing, but it just ain't have the same kind of appeal as the superstars. We just ain't have it. Now, but the All-Star game, I like the format. I think they should keep it. I think it can get better, but it was a step in the right direction given what we've seen the past few years.
I agree with you on the most part of All-Star Weekend. The 3-point. All right, so let me go to Saturday night. The rookie sophomores, they're going to do the rookie sophomore. They'll switch them up into 3 or 4 teams. Add the G Leaguers in there. So I like that concept. That gives the G Leaguers a showcase. My problem with the rookie sophomore game, I know they didn't call it that, but that's what I'm always going to call it, Rising Stars game. That game was on Peacock. Not everyone has Peacock. NBA, I told y'all this. I'm not going to complain about this to y'all, but this is one of the reasons why I thought the NBA was better on TNT. And I see people on social media, sports media members. Oh, the NBA is so much better on NBC and then it is on TNT. No, it's not. But if you want to have that conversation, we can another day and time. The NBA, in trying to stream, you're going to lose your casual viewers because your casual viewers want to watch the game. And you couldn't watch the Rising Stars game because the game was on Peacock. So you had to go to Peacock just to watch the game. So the NBA, I think they need to fix that problem, and hopefully they do overtime. Now Saturday, the 3-point shootout is the star event on Saturday. Now in the All-Star Saturday night, so they should have that last. The dunk contest, I agree with you 1,000%. No disrespect to Carter Bryant, Jackson Hayes, Keyshawn Johnson, or
Jace Richardson.
Jace Richardson, and prayers for him. That was, seeing that live, that was great. That was crazy. I'm not laughing. That was something. I thought that man was dead. So I'm glad he's okay. But like, you need better names. I'm not going to pick on LeBron. I think LeBron gets a bad rep now for not doing the dunk contest. Now, back in his prime, yeah, he should have did the dunk contest. But the fact that he didn't do it in his prime, I'm not expecting him to do it now. Now, I will say this. I disagree with the person who said, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. I'm not saying LeBron's 41 years old in his 23rd season. I'm not out here saying that he should have did the dunk contest now. I'm saying back when he was in his literal like superhuman prime, when he was jumping over folk like in Miami, or even before that. That's when we should have seen that from LeBron.
Yeah, please, yeah. No, I agree. Well, yeah, when LeBron was at his actual apex of power, he should have did the dunk contest. I agree with you 1,000%. So, with that being said, though, I don't fully agree with what Stephen A. said about him ruining the dunk contest. I will say what he showed was you can be great without having to do the dunk contest. So now the Kevin Durant's, the Anthony Edwards, those guys, even though KD not really a dunker, but like the superstar players are now like, I don't have to do this. I can still be great. I can win. I can do this. I can do that. The Jordans, the Dominiques, the Kobe's, yeah, like they were searching for greatness. They wanted that smoke. I'm not saying LeBron doesn't want that smoke, but when you can find, I always say this: if there are multiple ways to get to a destination, you can't be mad at me because I took the easier route. You took the harder route. That's your problem. That ain't mine.
But what's the dunk contest got to do with greatness? Like, okay, LeBron, you became a champion without competing in a dunk contest. Okay, are we going to sit here and think that Jordan and Kobe and the others wouldn't have been as great if they didn't compete in the dunk contest? Like, I mean, if that's the argument, I mean, I'm struggling to kind of like find relevance here with the.
No, that's not my argument. What I'm saying is that LeBron showed that there's a different way of getting to the destination of greatness. So I'm saying that you don't have to do the dunk contest. That's what he's shown, and I have no problem with that. That's my point. I'm saying that I don't knock him for not doing it. Go ahead. I knocked him for not doing it at his apex. I agree with that, but he's opened up the door to showing, okay, you can go at it this way and still be great. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's cool, but like, I mean, all right, bro. Like, LeBron's great. We knew he was going to eventually win a championship and be the great LeBron James, whether he did the dunk contest or not. I'm sitting there thinking like, this weekend is about the fans. Like, everyone loves LeBron. You think kids wouldn't go crazy to see LeBron do the dunk contest? Yeah. You don't think viewership and like everything would go up crazy if LeBron did the dunk contest? Hell yeah. Like, that's really what it's all about. It's not about like, I don't think dunk contest got anything to do with you, whether you're not going to be great or not. We've seen some of the greatest dunkers we've ever seen ever that can't shoot a 15-footer or have a handle, but they can dunk. Hell, Gerald Green, before he eventually had a few years where he got better, that man was a dunker. He couldn't. If he was doing anything else, he was a dunker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's guys out here that can't play, but are flat out. They can just jump. They can jump over cars and everything. I mean, that's really what it's all about. It's just the showmanship of it all, of All-Star Weekend. Like, it's a show. It's literally like, hey, we want to see the best athletes in the world, the best players. You know, do some tricks. You know, do some crazy dunks. Be in a skills competition. Be in a 3-point shootout. You know, we used to love seeing Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, two of the greatest shooters we've ever seen in the history of the game, go at it in the 3-point shootout. It wouldn't have affected, like, you know, how we thought of them as far as their greatness. It was happening anyway. So I disagree with, and I'm not saying it's you, Josh. I'm saying, but if it's LeBron, like, you can be great without the dunk contest. And I'm like, it ain't about you being great, bro. It's about like putting on a show for the fans that dream of just seeing one All-Star weekend, saving up all types of money, like, you know, for a year, sometimes even longer than that, just to go see you. And it's like, that's all we really wanted to see. It's not about like whether we think you're great or not, or whether competing in a dunk contest or not competing determines your greatness. We All-Star Weekend is literally just about the fans celebrating the greatness of the league, seeing the greatest players that were selected there to do, stuff like the three-point shootout or the dunk contest. You think we wouldn't have loved seeing LeBron versus, D Wade in their prime, or some of the best dunkers we had in the game during their time? That would just be like that'd be amazing TV. That's all I'm saying. And to me, it's nothing to do with you being great.
No, it definitely would be amazing TV. I'm not disagreeing with that. All I'm saying is that LeBron has shown a way of like you can go at it this way and you don't have to do the dunk contest. I don't want to put greatness on it because people will run with you saying he great because he didn't do the dunk. No. I'm not saying that. He was great when he walked in the NBA. We get that. Yeah. What I'm saying, so was Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, certain players, they were great when they walked in the league. What I'm saying is that he's shown that you don't have to do this and you can still reap the benefits of being, who you are. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so with him not doing it, the Anthony Edwards, that next generation, they're not into it. And the NBA also, let's say this, the NBA's game, they monitor they emphasize threes now. So it's like baseball. I look at it like this. When Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa was going back, when they was going for home run strain in 1998, you used to have the slogan, "Chicks love the long ball," right? And then Barry Bonds said, you know what? I'm going to take this out the park, and I'm going to have 71, 72 home runs in the season in 2001. So my point is that LeBron has showed, like, okay, like, you don't have to do this. Like, you can do something else. And I think the players behind him have, they took and shoot at that. So they're not going to get star players. I mean, only way they're going to get star players in the dunk contest is if they offer them money. So if the NBA wants to do that, fine. Then they'll get better names into it. But they're not going to do that. They're not going to offer them money. So you're going to get the Carter Bryants. I thought Keyshawn Johnson had two of the best dunks there, All-Star Saturday. But they don't have a name. So
if it's about
people aren't going to watch it.
If it's about the money, I got you. But I just feel like right there, like Barry Bonds versus Sammy Sosa, Aaron Judge versus Shohei Ohtani in the home run derby. Like, we want to see stars go at it in competitions that, it's not like you're playing one-on-one. Now the NBA is like could possibly be introducing one-on-one to the All-Star game. That could be something there, but it's just about, for me, it's separate from like, okay, hey, you can do it this way and still be great. It's not about your greatness. It's just about who you are, and fans know you can dunk like crazy. That would just be awesome, like just for the fans, because the NBA All-Star at the end is it's about the players and the All-Stars there, but it's just about the fans getting to see the best of the best do what they do best. That's just the end. That's the end of the story for me. Like, to watch LeBron James in the slam dunk contest, to me, is one of the biggest travesties that we'll ever see in NBA history, because this man is even now at 41 years old, he's a superhuman freak athlete. I've never been that athletic, never will be. Many people on earth have never been that athletic, especially at 41. So it's like, it just feels like we missed out on something that was really, really, that would have been really, really awesome to see, just because the man was like, now look, LeBron can do what he wants to do. He don't have to do the same dunk time. I get all that. But I'm just saying that it would have been good if he at least considered it. If he had actually just did it one time. Like Dwight Howard did it a few times. Nate Robinson did it a bunch of times. Like Matt McClung, Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, as crazy athletic as he was, it was amazing to watch him do that, because we knew who Blake Griffin was. We knew the type of athleticism that he possessed. So to put it on display like that and put on a show like he did, that's why it was that's why the slam dunk contest was fun. It was anticipation. It was live. Like, people look forward to it because of the names. That's all.
No, you're right on that. Also, I don't just want to put this all on LeBron. Like, we missed Ja Morant. He never did it. Zion Williamson never did it. Anthony Edwards never did it. So
Agreed.
I feel like it's just more like than just LeBron. And listen, people have criticized me as a LeBron critic. That's fine. I'm going to stand up for you when you're right. That's what I'm saying. Like, in his apex, yes. But these other guys, they don't have to follow. They could have tried to break the trend themselves. The only star/superstar that I've seen in the dunk contest in probably the last 5 to 10 years, well, let's say 5 years, was Jaylen Brown from the Boston Celtics. He did the dunk contest a couple years ago. That was it. The last great dunk contest we had was probably Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. And I don't think Zach LaVine or Aaron Gordon are superstars. Zach LaVine might be a star, but that's Aaron. Aaron Gordon's a very good player. I don't think of him as a star or a superstar. So my point is that there's a lot of guys who didn't do it. Ja Morant, Zion, like I said, just to name a few. So we missed out on all of that. You feel me? With those guys not doing it. So the All-Stars, the dunk contest, they're gonna have to pay guys to get into that. That's the only way I think they can make it better.
There's still time for Ja and Zion to do it. It's just there's still time for Ja and Zion to do it. Like it's just, I mean, I hate that, and I'm not even trying to pile on here.
No. I just want to say this before you go about LeBron. Like, yeah, they have time, but bro, let me ask you a serious question. If you had to bet your salary, do you think Ja Morant and Zion will never do the dunk contest? I don't.
I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, that's my point. So, like, all I'm saying is that yes, LeBron, yeah, like he went on. I remember he was at the All-Star weekend. It was in Vegas and said, "I'm going to do the All-Star." When Cheryl Miller was interviewing him, said, "I'm going to do the dunk contest next year," and never did it. So I get that, I understand it, but I'm saying the generation after him, they could have chose to buck the trend, like a Jaylen Brown. They didn't. So for me, I'm looking at it as a collective group. Yeah, LeBron set the trend, fine, but you can be a trendsetter. You can be, for example, like you said about Wemby. Wemby, they haven't played hard in the All-Star game in years. Wembanyama came out first play, dunked on Cade Cunningham, sealed them down the paint, and turned around and dunked on him. He set the tone. Anthony Edwards came out and said, Victor Wembanyama set the tone. We watched Wemby, we saw him play, man. Yeah, we had to come out, we had to hoop. So for me, that's my point. Like the guys with the dunk contest, they could have tried to do something else, and they said, "Yeah, you know what? I'm good for whatever reasons. Maybe it's because of brand, maybe because they don't want to lose." Because listen, a basketball game, your team loses. Yeah, we can make it. LeBron played KD, and the Rockets beat the Lakers, or the Lakers beat the Rockets. It's a team game. The dunk contest, the shooting 3-point, that's an individual thing. You get what I'm saying? So that's a little bit harder for those NBA players to to take if they lose. My quick thought, I'll let you get back on the slam dunk contest. I just want to get my quick thought on the All-Star game. I mean, listen, bro, we giving people credit for playing hard. Like I'm beyond that. Like we were born in the 90s, so I feel like we had the best All-Star games, the 90s, the early 2000s. Let me say this. I'm going back to 2012. I'm going to go back to 2012. I'm going to go back to 2013 because I shared this point with you privately, so I'm going to make it publicly with the world. It's 2016. So 14 years ago, I seen Dwayne Wade break Kobe Bryant's nose in the 2012 All-Star game in Orlando. You telling me they wasn't playing hard? In 2013, I saw Kobe Bryant in the fourth quarter pick up LeBron James full court. Full court. You can find that clips on social. You trying to tell me they weren't playing hard? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going back to the 80s and the 90s. I'm going back to 13 and 14 years ago. I feel like that's somewhat recent. You feel me? Like somewhat recent. You can, that wasn't yesterday, but it wasn't 30 years ago as well. You feel me? It wasn't in the Magic and the Bird era. So you can play hard in the All-Star game. I'm not giving you credit for playing hard. Now, as far as watching the game, yeah, it was good. Like I like the U.S. versus World. I like the one quarter format, especially for the older team. Now, I think the OG team lost against the young USA team because they got tired at the end. But I like the format. JG, I want to throw this idea out to you. What about in Olympic years, we do U.S. versus the world, but in non-Olympic years, we do East versus West? Because if you're going to be competitive in this, you can be competitive in East versus West. Like, for example, let's just look at the East All-Stars. All they would hear is, you guys have no chance. So Cade Cunningham, Jalen Dorn, I know Giannis didn't play because he was hurt, but Tyrese Maxey, those guys, Jaylen Brown, they would have got up because, okay, we're going against Wemby. We're going against Jokic. We're going against Luka. By the way, Kevin Durant was right. Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, they don't give a damn about the NBA All-Star game. You can just see that from watching them play. But, so KD was right. Shout out to KD on that point. But, man, listen, we can do East versus West in non-Olympic years, and then in Olympic years, do the U.S. versus the world, because that'll get the interest going into the Olympics. Think about yesterday on NBC. You had the All-Star game leads you right into the Winter Olympics. So that made it, you feel me, we already in the U.S. versus world because the Winter Olympics is going on. So I liked it, but again, I'm not giving millionaires a standing ovation because they play hard. That's their job. They should play hard, you feel me? As a fan, we watch the game. We watch basketball every night. We text each other every night about this happened, you feel me? Like, so I'm not giving you credit for playing hard, especially in college basketball where these guys are getting paid and they're playing hard. You feel me? For the most part. We only had one player in college, who sometimes does an MIA, and that's Darren Peterson in Kansas. Everyone else is playing. every other. They're playing every game. So I thought the All-Star game was good. I thought Victor Wembanyama set the tone. Hey John, I'm gonna just say this. I took a lot of heat last year for trying to tell y'all that Victor Wembanyama was a top 5 player in the NBA. Can't wait to see our top 5 rankings now. I can't wait to see that.
I don't know anybody that's gonna have a top 5 anything in the NBA and not have Victor Wembanyama. This guy's ready to take over the league very soon, like to be like the new face of the league. No question about it. This guy gets it. He plays hard on both ends. He wants it. He's playing like he's going after it. Like I didn't think he'd be this physical and this aggressive this early on in his career. He's dominating, and there's not a damn thing you can do to stop him. Nothing. You just have to hope that he misses. I don't know what you do with him. Well, but
I say this that I say.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
All right. I mean, so I was just saying, like earlier, I'm not trying to pile on LeBron James here. I know that when we talk about LeBron, we have to be careful because it feels like we're attacking him or attacking his brand, and we're not respecting the greatness of LeBron James, saying that he's not the greatest player of all time. Whatever. We gotta be careful when we speak about him. So I want to say that he's one of the best players we've ever seen. I don't have him personally number 1, but it doesn't mean that he's not one of the greatest of all time. I'm just making a point here. I'm not piling on LeBron James, but I'm saying, like, because you are LeBron James, the next generation is going to pay attention to what you do. They're going to listen to what you say. So if you say F the dunk contest, you really don't think the younger generation doesn't hear that and wants to follow suit because you are LeBron James. It's like if Kobe Bryant said that, if Michael Jordan said that, people are going to listen. They're going to follow their lead. So I'm giving you credit as the great LeBron James that you are. You not doing a dunk contest may have started a trend where we're not going to see some of these superior athletes like Ja, like Zion, like Anthony Edwards say, you know what, whatever, dunk contest, big deal. LeBron didn't do it, so why I got to do it? They're looking at you. That's all.
No, you are right. You are right on that point. And let's do it like this. Steph Curry is the best three-point shooter we've ever seen, right? Think about all the best shooters. They've entered the three-point shooting contest. James Harden was in the three-point shooting contest. Damian Lillard, Con Knipple. Like, those guys entered because you wanted to test out. So I get your point. You're 100% right on that. I just think LeBron gets a little bit.
They want to rival Steph Curry because they know he's the greatest shooter of all time. Oh, the greatest shooter of all time did? Let's see what I can do. That's all I'm saying. It's like, hey, I want to measure up to the best that ever did it, and LeBron is one of the best to ever do it. There's no way that LeBron wouldn't like reset standards in the dunk contest because of how crazy athletic he is.
You're 100% right. Again, the Steph Curry point I made definitely goes with your point because you're seeing the best person or the best. Let's say Steph and LeBron were the best in their era, are the best in their era. Steph, LeBron, Steph. I want to make sure I say each person's name first. I don't want no trouble. Like it's their, you feel me? So we saw Steph shooting like the best, bro. Paul George entered the three-point shooting contest. He ain't no shooter. I'm not saying he can't shoot, but he's not Klay Thompson or Steph Curry or Con Knipple. So no, you're 100% right. But I just think, let me just make this point. I just think LeBron gets too much blame for not doing the dunk contest. Should he get blamed? Yes. But let me just say this. Just because John started Club JG podcast, that didn't necessarily mean that I was going to start highly opinionated. I wanted to do my own thing. You feel me? Like, and I'm saying, like, as a man, you don't have to follow what somebody else did. Anthony Edwards could say, I'm going to do the dunk contest next year. Let's say, I know it's not, I know the NBA All-Star Weekend is not in Minnesota. Let's say the NBA All-Star Weekend was in Minnesota next year. Anthony Edwards could say, listen, we're going to turn Minnesota up. I'm not only the All-Star game going to be here, I'm going to do the dunk contest here. He hasn't done it. That's not LeBron's fault. That's another grown man's decision. So I get your point about I get your point about following the lead, but also, bro, you started the trend. You started Club JG podcast. We've seen other shows come after that. So my point is that, yeah, like I didn't just sit on the sideline like, man, let me just come on his show. Nah, you can do your own thing. Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant, Zion Williams. Think about this. They was trying to put Ja Morant. Think about this for Ja Morant, right? I want you to think about this. Ja Morant's been in trouble, been in the news. I told y'all a year ago that he was going to get traded. And I'll get to more of him when we get to the NBA segment in a second. But he will get traded, y'all. He just won't get traded this year. He'll get traded in the offseason. Don't worry. They already traded Jaren Jackson. But when they was trying to pump up Ja Morant to be the face lead, if he would have did the dunk contest, that would have helped him. especially with all the stuff that he went through. Because think about it, the media would have fell even more in love with him because he was the first superstar to do the dunk contest. So that's my point. Like, that's his decision. That's not LeBron. That's my only point. I think LeBron gets too much blame in that. For Stephen A to say he killed the dunk contest, I can't say that because these grown men have their own decision. Like, me and you don't always agree. I don't. That's okay. Like, we should have it that way. So everyone has a right to do what they want to do, but there's consequences of doing what you want to do. Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant, Zion, they ain't built the equity that LeBron has built. You feel me? Like, LeBron has built equity. And again, people think I'm critical of the guy. I'm like you. Just because I don't think yo the best player ever don't mean I'm critical. But when it's right to defend somebody, I'm a rightly defender. LeBron, to me, gets over. Should he get criticized for this? Yes. But this should be nothing to the. He should be criticized for other things more than this. Maybe lack of effort, maybe stuff like that, maybe molting in public. Not this. Like, bro, listen, that dunk contest thing, he put his foot in his mouth by doing that. After that everything else, that's on the players after him. Anthony Edwards was doing a dunk contest at Georgia. You feel me? So yeah, man. Like, nah, we can't. Yeah, I can't go fully on Bron on that one. Yeah, he gets some blame. He was the best player. The best player has to take accountability. But yeah, I can't fully go on him. Go ahead, bro.
I'm not again. Like, it's just, I hear what you're saying. Like, yeah, these guys are grown ups. They can do whatever they want to do. That's fine. But there's certain guys that are looked at as gods. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Stephen Curry, LeBron James. Certain guys are looked at as guys. Absolutely. And what they do, and everything that they do has a residual impact more than maybe even they realize. You think Kobe? Do we even know if Kobe Bryant would have done the same dunk contest if Michael Jordan didn't do it? As much as Kobe looked up to Michael Jordan to want to be like Michael Jordan, do we know that for sure? It's just, and again, this is just hypotheticals. I'm not throwing no facts out there. I'm just saying, like, for the sake of argument, it's just certain guys that when you see them do that, you want to do what they do. You want to, like, see where you measure up with everything they do, even something as small and insignificant as like a 3-point shootout or dunk contest. Insignificant, but so many people watch. So many people will gravitate towards what those guys did because of who they are and the stratosphere that they put themselves at, above their own stratosphere. Like, it's only room for them. That's all I'm saying.
No, you're right. Again, I'm agreeing with you. I just think, again, Bron just gets a little bit too much. But, like, bro, for a national commentator to say
that's the price of being that great, man. That's the price of being that great. You get blamed for stuff that doesn't even make sense.
I get it.
That's the price of being that good.
I get it. But just because that's the price of being that's good doesn't mean that I should go with that. And that's all I'm saying. Again, I'm critical of LeBron, but in this particular situation, I'm not critical of him because he didn't do it, which means others didn't do it. Like, no, Anthony Edwards has his own decision, bro. Ja Morant can decide, bro. LeBron ain't tell Ja Morant to play with guns. He decided to do that. You see what I'm saying? So, like, bro, at the end of the day, like, you're your own man. Like, I don't tell anybody on this show what to do, bro. You know that. Like, I'm at Tim. I work with you and Tim every week. Y'all, I will ask y'all, you want to talk about this? You want to talk about that? Now, football season is a little bit more structured because you know what you're going to talk about. In basketball, bro, I'll hit you up. You want to talk about this? You want to do this? You want to do that? You feel me? So, yeah, like, I can't blame somebody because somebody else didn't do something. Your point is right, though. If he would have did it, it would have brought interest to it. So you're 100% right. But for me, those guys, man, they can say yeah.
It comes off as blame, but, like, I think it's more so just like saying, "Hey, man, you're that good." It would have been really cool if you did it. More so than how it's phrased. And I do agree with you. I don't think it should be phrased like we're blaming LeBron, but we are pointing to LeBron because of who he is. It just unfortunately sounds like it's blame, but this is not something that I hold on or chastise him for.
You're right. Your point is right, but I'm saying Stephen A. going on TV saying I thought that's a little bit extreme. Like, bro, he didn't destroy the dunk contest. Like, I felt like that's a little bit extreme. Now, if we want to make it seem like he was flawless in it, like Nick Wright did, no, I disagree. I disagree with Stephen A. and Nick Wright. LeBron has some responsibility, but I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming him for what he said. He said he was going to do it, and then he didn't do it. I only can take a man for his word, so I blame that. What I don't blame LeBron because Ja Morant, John Graham, Joshua Walker, Tim Ack, I'm not blaming him for them. Like, them people had a choice, they can decide who they want. They can decide what they want to do. So, again, I thought it was a good All-Star weekend. The Saturday was iffy. Friday was bad because you couldn't watch the game. You had to watch the game on Peacock. Had to try to find that. Saturday, the dunk contest was we need some more big names in that. The 3-point shooting contest. Shout out to your boy Dame Lillard. Great to see him back on the NBA court. Can't wait to see him back next season for the Portland Trail Blazers. And the All-Star game with the Stars, the Stripes, the OGs, the young guys, and the world team. Great All-Star Sunday games.
Great.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching Highly Opinionated. We will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of Highly Opinionated is brought to you by Edibly Airy. Enjoy the heightened experience of THC edibles in a whole new way. At Edibly Airy, our freeze-dry edibles available in 100 milligram, 200 milligram, 300 milligram, 400 milligram will give you the buzz you crave with a flavor you won't forget. Available in 3 different flavors: watermelon sunset, tropical fruit, and berry. To place orders, please visit the website at ediblyairy.com. While you're there at ediblyairy.com, use a promotion code. You guys see the promotion code on the screen. $ Highly Airy, $. Again, $ Highly Airy, $ for 20% off your first purchase. Follow us on IG at Edibly Airy for new product releases and monthly hookups. Must be 21 and over to purchase. Edibly Airy, the best freeze-dry edibles out. Go shop. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Highly Opinionated. John, staying with the NBA. Sad day, man. True legend of the game. One of the best point guards of our time. The legendary Chris Paul retires, which has been a terrible season for him. He signed with the Clippers during the offseason. The Clippers and Chris Paul parted ways. They actually cut him while they were on a road trip in Atlanta. So a tough situation for him. Didn't really see him get to play out his last season the way he wanted to. Just your thoughts on the point guard, Chris Paul, calling it a career and hanging it up.
Well, you said it right there, point guard, one of the best, if not the greatest, arguably one of the greatest point guards we've ever had in the NBA for sure. It sucks that he never won a championship. He came close, obviously, in Phoenix in 2021 before Giannis Antetokounmpo just went nuts and couldn't be stopped. But, there were times where Chris Paul had a chance to knock off the Warriors with James Harden, but the hamstring injury or something just took him out of the playoff game and he couldn't finish. So we've seen him come close. We've seen this guy, just make teams better wherever he goes. Catapulting Oklahoma City. I remember when he was traded to Oklahoma City back before they became Oklahoma City, that, he was basically cast out, like his career's done. He helped Oklahoma City, get back to where they were, helping along Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and these young players. Shai, to this day, we'll talk about how much of an impact CP3 had on his career just being a teammate. So this guy from a basketball perspective has been, he made teams better. He, just one of the all-time great assist leaders in the game. The engineer of Lob City in the LA Clipper days with him, DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin. We love those days. But when he went back, I got to say this, he was done wrong by the Clippers. I'm talking to Ty Lue, I'm talking to Steve Ballmer, I'm talking to Lawrence Frank, the GM. They did this wrong. I mean, look, Chris Paul was an asshole. Let's be honest. It's not the first time that I've heard that Chris Paul is kind of been a jerk or an asshole. So did that factor in? It could, because sometimes you don't want to deal with a certain player being a headache, not getting along with the coaches, not speaking to coaches, all this stuff coming out. But regardless of that, his merit alone does not deserve that kind of disrespect. You don't disrespect a guy you sent him home mid-season like he was a problem child and was about to, do something detrimental to himself or the team. That's not what happened here. They treated Chris Paul really badly. They could have done this in a much better way. If you're going to release him, I get it. But there's a better way to do business, and that's something that's going to stay with this Clippers organization, who has a history of not having the greatest, business situations. Or hell, the owner, we know who the old owner was. We don't need to even talk about him, but we know who he was and what he was about. So that's the history that goes on with the Clippers, and now you're adding to that by treating an all-time great, a potential Hall of Famer here, the way that you did, sending him home the way you did. That's not how you do business with a guy in his 21st season, who's for what he's meant to the game. You just don't do that. So I'm going to miss Chris Paul. I mean, I don't know if we're going to see like many more quintessential point guards like we've seen with Chris Paul running the show, setting up the offense. Nowadays, it's about the athletic point guards. We saw Russell Wilson. We saw Derrick Rose in his time. We see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the primetime scorer that he is, playing the point guard position, so to speak. But we talk about quintessential point guards, setting the table, getting multiple assists a night, the Rajon Rondo era of the world, where they're not exactly the focal point of the offense, but they're the engine of the offense, getting it going, setting up the offense, getting guys in clear spots. That's a dying breed, I think, that is going to go with Chris Paul. So I appreciate who he was as a competitor. I appreciated watching him over the years, going back to Wake Forest. The game's going to miss him, and congratulations on a really awesome career. Again, it sucks that he couldn't bring home a championship, but amazing career. So game's going to miss Chris Paul. Me as a fan of the league, I'm going to miss Chris Paul as well.
I agree with everything that you said. I'll take it a step further. Chris Paul, I've debated for years. Anyone that knows me, I didn't think he was a top 5 point guard. I think once you get past the fourth, I think to me, you have Magic, you have Oscar Robertson, you have Steph Curry. After that, you can make a point. You can make a case Chris Paul is the fourth best point guard. Now, he doesn't have the MVPs. He doesn't have the hardware like a Russell Westbrook. He doesn't have a finals MVP like a Isaiah Thomas or a Tony Parker. He doesn't have the steals lead and playing for all those years and being consistent like a John Stockton. It's not the logo like Jerry West, but you can make a point. You can make a point that Chris Paul is the 4th best point guard to ever play in the NBA. Just off watching the game, off of what he's accomplished and everything. Chris Paul is 4th in all-time point guard scoring leaders. Russell Westbrook leads with 27,000. Oscar Robertson 26,710. Steph Curry is at 26,447. And Chris Paul is at 4th with 23,058 points. Damian Lillard is 5th with 22,598 points. So Chris Paul has been sensational his whole career. He's 2nd all-time in assists with 12,552. He's 2nd in all-time in steals, 2,728. He's 2nd both categories behind the great John Stockton. 12-time NBA All-Star, 12-time All-NBA selected, 9-time All-NBA defensive selections, 5 times leading the NBA in assists, 6 times leading the NBA in steals. He was the All-Star game MVP in 2013, and he was a Rookie of the Year in 2005, 2006. He has a good rookie class. Darren Williams, a point guard from Illinois, he was in that draft class as well. So Chris Paul has been a great player his whole career. I've criticized him. Yes, Chris Paul is an asshole. That was my biggest criticism of him. And he would, in certain moments, his teams would be up 3-2, and then terrible things will happen. They would lose a game, somebody would get hurt, stuff like that. So he has to take the onus of that. He's never won a championship. He has to live with that. But your prototypical point guard, and again, he can score as well. He might not be he's not as athletic as Russell Westbrook or Derrick Rose, but he definitely can score. So Chris Paul was wrong. He was wrong twice. You mentioned the first time, so I'm gonna go in sequential order. He was done wrong by the NBA because Chris Paul should have been traded to the Lakers and played with Kobe Bryant. You feel me? But the NBA wanted David Stern was the acting governor of the team and said that the Hornets couldn't make the trade. And if you go back and look at the trade that they were going to do with the Lakers, they got robbed by the Clippers because the trade with the Lakers was better than what they got from the Clippers. But hey, my bad. I don't want to let Fast get in the way of feelings. And then he got robbed with the Clippers this past season. The Clippers knew damn well who Chris Paul was. You don't sign Chris Paul at 40 and not know who the hell he is. So the Clippers, if they knew he was going, if they should have never signed him if they were scared of him being who Chris Paul is. Chris Paul is going to be who Chris Paul is. He's not going to change. Every destination, he's made the situation better. I want to give him some credit for this. What y'all see in San Antonio, CP3 had a little bit to do with that. The Stephon Castle development had a little bit to do with that. You feel me? So the Wemby development had a little bit to do with that. He took time in San Antonio. They didn't make the playoffs, but they got better. They got a little better under his watch. It sucked last year that Victor Wembanyama had the blood clots and Greg Popovich had the stroke. So, Chris Paul really couldn't beat Chris Paul because of that situation. So I'm not going to say he couldn't really beat him, but the Spurs couldn't manufacture who they wanted to be because of their head coach and the best player had blood clots. So Chris Paul is a hell of a player, one of the best point guards I've ever seen. And again, I don't necessarily have him as the 4th best point guard, but you could make a case he is the 4th best point guard to ever play in the NBA behind Magic, Steph, and Oscar Robertson. So salute Chris Paul on a hell of a career. Fan of yours. Chris Paul was on my two favorite Olympic teams, the 2008 Redeem team with Kobe, LeBron, and Melo, and then the 2012 team when it was LeBron, Kobe, and Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. It was that Olympic team was stacked. So, and Chris Paul started on the 2012 team. So, salute Chris Paul. Amazing career. Wish you well in the next chapter of your life, my brother. JG, it's time for our NBA second half thoughts. The NBA All-Star game is now over. Ladies and gentlemen, just FYI, there's less than a half of a season left. We're basically in the 1/3 left of the season. Before you know it, it'll be the middle of April, and we'll be getting ready for the NBA play-in, the NBA playoffs. So, JG, I'll start us off with my second half thoughts. NBA, I'm just looking at. We saw some big moves at the trade deadline. We saw James Harden get traded from the LA Clippers to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers, they sit right now in the 4th place in the Eastern Conference at 34-21. They're a game out of 3rd place. I think the Cavaliers will be anywhere between 2nd and 4th in the East. I think the two best teams in the East right now are the Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think the Boston Celtics are the 3rd best team in the East. I think the Knicks, everyone's going to talk about it should be New York's year. I said this last year, I'm going to say it again. Their two best players don't play defense. And they don't have the rim protect. Like, yeah, James Harden and Donovan Mitchell might be defensive liabilities, but they got Evan Mobley and Jared Allen behind them. They got defenders on the roster. Cleveland went out and got Keon Ellis, a guard defensive that they can put on guards to try to slow him down. So I think the two best teams in the East right now, the Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Here we go with Cleveland again.
We know you're ready. The mistake by the lake. Here we go, y'all.
Cleveland, I love you. This is actually turned out to be a much better move for the Cavaliers than I thought. I didn't think that James Harden would be a good fit with Donovan Mitchell, but seeing what I've seen over the first few games, it looks really good. James Harden is playing that point guard position. And Jared Allen and Evan Mobley will benefit tremendously from James Harden because he loves to throw lobs. Donovan Mitchell, it allows him to go off ball, allows him to be Donovan Mitchell, be that scorer and that closer. And you have another closer in James Harden. But I don't give a damn what happens in this regular season with Cleveland. I don't.
I got you.
All I care about is what happens in the playoffs. And what do we always talk about with the Cavaliers and James Harden? What does this marriage have in compatibility?
They fold like cheap lawn chairs.
Like cheap lawn chairs. So until I see it, I got the same attitude I had last year when I told everybody don't buy into Cleveland. It's not going to happen. They're going to find a way. Now you add a guy who was on your favorite team last year, who I also said be careful. Look good in the regular season, looking good, right? Then Game 7 comes around with the Denver Nuggets, and what did we see? 9 points from James Harden.
9 points.
It looked like I've seen this before.
Yeah.
So now we add that guy to a team that, hey, I've seen this before. Now look, on paper, Cleveland is one of the more talented teams in the East. They should win the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. I know Detroit's there. I know how good they are defensively, and I know Cade Cunningham is who Cade Cunningham is. JB Biggerstaff and the crew. These guys are going to be tough. Are going to be a tough out. But Cleveland's got probably one of the more talented teams in the East. You can talk about the Knicks, and I think you're sleeping a little bit on the Celtics. They traded for Nikola Vucevic from the Chicago Bulls. That was a piece that's a piece that people were not paying enough attention to. That's a big deal. Vucevic is a 14 and 12 guy, 16 and 10, can really do something for you. And the only thing they were really lacking was production in the front court. Vucevic does that for you. And now with Jaylen Brown playing at an MVP level that he has been, and it shocked me because I did not think that Boston was going to be in the position they were. People were talking about a gap year, like what the Pacers are going through right now. People thought it was going to be a gap year. You trade away things. You traded away Drew Holiday because of cap space. Now you got Derek White and Jaylen Brown. Peyton Pritchard has gone crazy this year.
17, average 17 points.
It's balling. So you add that with Derek White, with Jaylen Brown playing the way that he is. Now you add Vucevic. Boston Celtics can get back to the finals without Jason Tatum. And Tatum, I don't think he's going to be back this year. And when I say be back, I'm not saying be Jason Tatum back. But the Celtics have a chance to win the Eastern Conference and go back to the finals without Jason Tatum. I'm going to tell you that right now. Detroit, as great as this team is, and I love Detroit. They got an old school mentality about them. They bring you back to the bad boy Pistons. That's how I feel about them. The Knicks are good.
The Pistons don't take no shit.
No, they don't. To put it lightly. And then the Knicks are a good team. They should compete as well. But like you said, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, can we rely on you on the defensive end when it counts?
No.
I know you got Mitchell Robinson back there. You got OG Anunoby. You got Josh Hart. But at the end of the day, they're going to pick on Karl Anthony Towns, especially in the pick and roll, because he can't defend without fouling. They're going to pick on Jalen Brunson because although he tries, he's just not a good defender. So how does that play as the playoffs get here? And I'm going to tell you about another team that no one is talking about right now that has won 9 of their last 10 games, one of the hottest teams in the NBA.
The Charlotte Hornets.
Yes, the Charlotte Hornets. This is not a joke here. These guys are playing really good basketball. They're playing tough. LaMelo Ball looks great. Brandon Miller looks great.
Yo, I'm sorry. I gotta do this because you brought him up. So I'm sorry for cutting you off. I have to do this. Ross, can I get my solo shot? So last year on the show, I told y'all the Hawks, they was gonna get rid of Trae Young. They did trade him. They traded him to DC. By the way, I like what the Wizards are doing. You trade for people and then you tank. The Wizards gonna be good next year. They should make the playoffs next year. You feel me? And they're gonna get that lottery pick. So I like that. They got AD. They just need to put bubble wrap around AD from fingernails to everything. So nothing happened to him. They should be good. Trae Young. You feel me? I like that. Yeah, Trae Young too. Yeah, but I like that move for the Wizards for next season. I said Trae Young was gonna get traded. Ja Morant, and there was a third guard that I mentioned who I wasn't a fan of. LaMelo Ball. Hey, listen. I don't think Charlotte should trade LaMelo. Now I think eventually Con Knuckles will gonna be the best player on that team because you can just see how he play, how he move, and stuff like that. But I like the young nucleus of Con Knuckles, Brandon Miller, Diabate when he comes back from suspension, Miles Bridges, because Miles Bridges is not old, like he's still in his 20s. And then you got later 20s, but still in his 20s. And then you got LaMelo Ball. So I owe LaMelo Ball and his fan base an apology because I thought he was one of them guys. I'm like, yeah, put him over there with Ja, put him over there with Trae. Yeah, let's go to a new destination. But with head coach Charles Lee, former assistant coach at Boston, what he's doing, man, listen, the Charlotte Hornets gonna make the play in because right now they the 9 seed, and 7, 8, 9, and 10, they are the same teams. Orlando is a disappointment. 28, 25, they traded 5 first-round picks for Desmond Bain. You should not be in the play yet. Miami, they stuttering. I mean, not stuttering. They fluttering. They try and find that next superstar. So they're gonna be in the play, and we get that. Atlanta, I told y'all before the season started about that most improved player. Oh, that boy Jalen Johnson. Oh, Mr. Triple Dub. That's what I call him because that's what he is. They traded Trae Young. They still gonna make the play in. They still gonna make the play in tournament. They might not make the playoffs, but they still gonna make the play in. So I like what they doing. Charlotte. Let me say this. Next year, within the next 2 seasons, what we see from the Detroit Pistons, if the Charlotte Hornets can keep this core together, they could be what the Detroit Pistons are now. That's what Charlotte could be in the future. And like I said, I was wrong on LaMelo. They need to keep him. They need to improve the team. You feel me? Keep doing that. But I was wrong on the Charlotte Hornets, bro. I'm sorry for cutting you off. The floor is yours. Back to yours, bro. My bad.
No, I mean, you kind of stole my thunder, but it's all good. I mean, LaMelo Ball, that would have been dumb to trade him. I definitely wouldn't have done that. But and also Colin Sexton. This is a guy that is a veteran point guard that is a glue guy. That you can build a culture around having guys like that on your team. And Con Knuckles has been he's been the least talked about rookie in this draft class. And look, Cooper Flagg has been everything that you expect in the #1 overall pick. I mean, he's breaking records as a teenager right now. So he's doing what he's supposed to be doing based on expectations. But Con Knuckles, this guy is he's not just a shooter. He's a phenomenal shooter, but he's a ball player. There's a lot of offense that he can do. He's a shot maker. And you add that with this group of guards you got: Bridges, Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Colin Sexton, and Diabate is more of a forward, but that's the next step. And is Mark Williams still there with Charlotte real quick? Mark Williams?
No, Mark Williams. He's on the Suns.
He's on the Suns now. Got you. So if they can destroy up that front court, I think Charlotte's a team that's trending in the right direction right now. I think they will make the playoffs this year. I think they will be in a playoff series this year. I'm not going so far to say they're going to win the playoff series, but it wouldn't shock me if they found their way out of the play-in and getting into a first-round series and making it interesting.
I would love to see them play Detroit in the first round. Just because of that fight that happened a couple weeks, that would be amazing. Because right now, Detroit, the number 1 seed, Charlotte would be the 8th seed if they get into the playoffs. I don't think they can be the 7th seed.
Give me that. No, give me that. I want that.
We need all that smoke for the NBA, for the NBA playoffs. Just to make this correction, you said they have Colin Sexton. They actually traded Colin Sexton the way they have now. They went out and got Kobe White. So I get what you're saying. Veteran guy that has been there, that has played in the NBA.
That's what it was. I apologize. Yeah, it was Kobe White. Yeah, I apologize.
Kobe White, yeah.
That's what I meant to say.
Former North Carolina star, you feel me? Speaking of North Carolina, give them this will make all North Carolina fans happy and you happy. Hey, Ross, so when you asked Ross to put up the picture of the Duke fans, now I see why she was crying. Because we didn't see this Conker nipple last year. If we saw this Conker nipple last year, we would have won the national championship. Because all we did was put the ball in Cooper Flag hand. Why did we put the ball in Conker nipple hand? Like, bro, he can dribble. Like, I'm looking at him in the NBA. I'm like, bro, he had 3 fastest players. Like, why are we just making him be a shoot?
I think that's a question for Mr. John Shire, a guy that succeeded and recently has not came up big in the Final Four. Just a question. This is a question to throw out there. Not saying he's not a great coach.
No, he's a very good young up and coming coach. But bro, you can't just be so dependent on one guy. You feel me? So shout out what Conker Nipple was doing. He's number 2 in my Rookie of the Year standings. I think we both know who number 1 is. That guy in Dallas, man, just generational and doing what he's doing. So we broke down the Eastern Conference. Let's move down to the Western Conference. Oklahoma City Thunder sit at 42-14. The San Antonio Spurs 38-16. Denver Nuggets 35-20. Houston Rockets 33-20. The Lakers 33-21. And the Minnesota Timberwolves coming at the 6th seed at 34-22. Phoenix 32-23. The Warriors 29-26. Portland 27-29. And the LA Clippers 26-28. Again, we talked about the Clippers trade. The Clippers have made 2 consequential trades. They traded James Harden and Darius Garland. They also traded Vincent Zubac to the Indiana Pacers for a draft pick. Keep your eye out on this. If the Clippers get that pick from Indiana, it has to be it's top 4 protected, and then it has to fall between 5, 6, and 7. You feel me? Which I think is a strong chance that might happen. So keep your eyes out when the Clippers having a top 5 pick in this loaded draft. That would definitely help them out because of what they gave up in the Paul George trade, and obviously what they gave up in losing to Vincent Zubac. For me, I want to mention 2 teams. I want to mention the Phoenix Suns and the Portland Trail Blazers. Let me start off with the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are 32-23. I am thoroughly surprised when I was picking teams about who would make the playoffs. I did not know that I did not have the Suns in there. And remember when they traded for Kevin Durant, I thought they traded Scooby Snacks to get, the Suns got Scooby Snacks in return. Jalen Green has been out the whole season, the centerpiece of the trade. But they got the number 10 pick. They got Milwaukee out of Duke. The best player from that trade for the Suns has been Dylan Brooks. I thought Dylan Brooks should have been an all-star this year. If you go look at what Dylan Brooks has injected in that Phoenix Suns organization and that team, bro, he's injected life, he's injected toughness, he's injected heart in that situation. So for me, I want to give a shout out to the Phoenix Suns and what they're doing, and I'm gonna give a shout out to the Portland Trail Blazers. Head coach Chauncey Billups was in the FBI gambling situation, where basically got sent away, got locked up, basically got bailed out of jail, and now sitting on the side because of that. Shout out to my guy Tiago Splitter, former San Antonio Spurs. If you would have told me the Portland Trail Blazers would have been in the play-in this year, I would have laughed at you. Like, I didn't think they had a chance of making the play-in. Denny Agava, their best player, he made the All-Star team. Congratulations to him on that. But the Portland Trail Blazers are 27-29. They will definitely be in the play-in. I don't see Memphis catching them. Memphis made trades. They traded Jaren Jackson III. I don't see Dallas catching them. So shout out to the Suns and shout out to the Portland Trail Blazers.
I think the LA Lakers are going to fall into the play-in. I think their defense or lack thereof is going to be the main reason why they do fall to the play-in. I think the Phoenix Suns are trending in the right direction where they could get out of the play-in. Like you're 100% correct on Dylan Brooks. I didn't see this coming. I didn't.
Me neither.
Dylan Brooks is playing phenomenal basketball. And he should have gotten some All-Star votes. He should have. Like, he's been so good that the Lakers were actually looking to trade for Dillon Brooks because of how bad they are defensively on the perimeter, and how ironic and hilarious would that be to have Dillon Brooks and LeBron James on the same team? That'd have been something. That'd have been something to definitely behold.
That would have been hilarious. Y'all need to put a locker room. Y'all need to put a camera in that locker room to see the locker room interaction between them two on a daily basis.
That would have been a show. Also, I think Oklahoma City is not a lock to be the number 1 seed. And I say this because like they've been dealing with their injuries now. Credit to their depth. Like, they've continued to keep this afloat. You don't even realize that the way that who they've been playing and how they've been winning, you almost don't know that Shea has been injured. You don't know that Jalen Williams has been out. There were games where they had literally 8 guys in uniform, and there were guys that we not even heard of that were but they're playing their brand of basketball and still being competitive. That's just a credit to their coaching and a credit to, like, the GM getting the right guys around with how they want to play basketball. With that all being said, look out for the San Antonio Spurs. I think that they see an opportunity here, and they own Oklahoma City in the regular season. Like, they're the one team that Oklahoma City can't seem to figure out right now. And San Antonio is trending in the right direction. I think Oklahoma City, really based off their injuries, I think San Antonio will catch them and be that number 1 seed. And I'm not picking Oklahoma City as a lot to go to the finals. A lot of people are because of how they started. But I'm going with the field. I think somebody is going to take out the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't know when that's going to be, but I don't think the Thunder are going back to the finals. So those are my 2 hot takes for the West. I think the Lakers fall to the play-in because of how bad they are defensively, and I think the Oklahoma City Thunder will not go back to the NBA Finals.
I love it, man. The Spurs right there on their heels. I think they brought Jalen Williams back because they feel the Spurs right there on their heels. The Spurs
and now Williams is out again with another hamstring injury, so that maybe he came back from that previous injury too soon.
Too soon, absolutely. So, like I said, OKC 42 and 14. The Spurs are 38-16. The Detroit Pistons have the best record in the NBA. They have the best record in the association. They're 40-13. So, shout out to the Detroit Pistons. By the way, I thought JB Bickerstaff should have won Coach of the Year last year. He better win it this year. Like, come on, man. Y'all just, like, I don't know what y'all doing. So, get that man Coach of the Year. He's definitely earned it and deserved it. He's earned it and deserved it.
I think Joe Mazzulla might have something to say about that. And I know it's unfair.
Yeah. Well,
I like JB Bickerstaff, but Joe Mazzulla, we gave Joe Mazzulla like so much, flack for, like, is he really coaching the team, or is he a beneficiary of having Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? Joe Mazzulla has been tremendous. Again, we thought that Boston was going to be picking in the lottery this year. We thought it was going to be one of the worst seasons you've ever seen in Boston Celtics history. They're sitting at number 2 in the East right now.
I said what we see Utah doing and what the Wizards are doing in Indiana sitting healthy players. I said they should sit Jaylen Brown and get the Bossa and come back with the Bossa, Brown, and Tatum. And for what, like you said, for what Joe Mazzulla has done with the Boston Celtics, totally forgot about that. But yeah, the Coach of the Year should be close. I don't want to make it seem like it should be runaway, but I felt like my man should have won it last year in Detroit. JB Bickerstaff. I know they gave it to the Cleveland coach, but Cleveland had talent. You feel me? Detroit didn't have talent. They won 30 games, a 30-game difference. So Coach of the Year definitely one of the interesting awards we get to when we do our NBA awards at the end of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end the show as we always do. We're going to switch over to college basketball, sport that my co-host knows very, very well. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys see on the screen college basketball schedule for this week. Matchups all throughout the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. However, I'm going to put my attention and focus my part of college basketball to Saturday. Saturday is a Final Four type of day. You have the number 4 Arizona Wildcats at the number 2 Houston Cougars. That game will be at 3 o'clock on ABC. Big 12 matchup. Arizona's coming in. They've lost their last 2 ranked games. They lost last week, Monday, to Kansas without Darren Patterson. Then they lost Saturday at home. College game day was there. A tough game against Texas Tech. That guy Toppin from Texas Tech, man, he a hell raiser. He had 31 points, 11 rebounds. He's definitely a problem. And then Houston is coming into that game, so can't wait for number 4 and number 2, 3 o'clock on ABC. And then the game that I'm looking forward to this most of the season, the number 1 Michigan Wolverines. Michigan has looked the best team all season, and I finally get to see a Duke, the number 3 team in the country. Can they finish a game? They lost to Texas Tech. They didn't finish the game. They lost to North Carolina. They didn't finish the game. That game will be Saturday at 6:30 on ESPN. College Game Day will be live from Washington, D.C., the site of Michigan and Duke. Reese Davis, Jay Billis, Jay Williams, Coach Seth Greenberg, and John Graham's favorite person on TV, Andrea Carter, will be live from Washington, D.C. on Saturday morning. College Game Day. Can't wait for that. So, bro, those are the 2 games I'm looking at. Other than watching the games and watching your girl, Andrea Carter, on TV, what games catches your attention this week?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for reminding me that's in DC. Like, might got slide. I might got slide to DC real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, looking at this schedule here, we definitely Saturday is just going to be insane. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like a potential Final Four preview. Arizona, who's definitely pissed off after losing the last 2 games. Definitely it's not what you expected. But my attention, honestly, I think I saw it on the schedule. Yeah, on Tuesday, before we get to Duke with Michigan. Michigan's got a tough road game on Tuesday night, going to West Lafayette, taking on number 7 Purdue. The Big Ten has 4 teams in the latest AP poll in the top 10, and these are 2 of the best teams in the country, in my opinion. And they're going to go. It's going to be a big time matchup on Tuesday. So I know we're looking forward to next weekend, and rightfully so. It's going to be epic. But Michigan's got a tough one on Tuesday. I'm paying attention to that game, going to West Lafayette to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. That'll be my highlight of the week before we get to the weekend.
There will be 1 undefeated team when the season ends. You guys see a couple times on the schedule. They play Saturday. They play Tuesday at UMass at 7:00, and then on Saturday, Miami of Ohio. No, I'm sorry. They play Friday night. Excuse me. They play Bowling Green Friday night at 8:30. I think when the season ends, the regular season, not the conference tournament, when the regular season ends, Miami of Ohio will be undefeated. I've been saying this for the past couple of weeks now. I thought Arizona will lose because they're in the Big 12. Big 12 is a gauntlet every week. You got Houston, Kansas, Iowa State, teams like that. In the Big 10, the conference that you know and love so much, about in your time in the Big 10, Penn State and Maryland. You got Michigan, Purdue, Michigan State. I know Michigan State lost a couple games. Don't sleep on Sparty. You got Wisconsin, you got Illinois. You got teams that, so the Big 10 is definitely a murderer's row. So I'm looking at Miami of Ohio. I think they'll be undefeated when we get to conference tournament play. And like to mention again, to your point about the Big 10, Michigan's in the top 10. Purdue is in the top 10. Nebraska is in the top 10. Illinois is in the top 10. Michigan State's in the top 15. Wisconsin is number 24. So you got 6, 7 teams ranked in the top 25 in college basketball, AP top 25. So I've been saying this all season. The Big 10, the Big 12. I think the Big 10, the Big 12, and the SEC, those 3 are the best conference. And I think, not debate you on this, but I think the ACC has grown. The ACC is not what it used to be, but the SMUs, the Louisvilles, the Californias, the teams like that, they're getting better. So,
I mean that's nice, but I think the Big Ten is still the best conference in the country. I'll give you the SEC. I'll give you the Big 12 for sure, because there's definitely a lot of firepower in there as well. But my point's saying I still think the Big 10 is probably the best in the country. I mean, 4 teams in the top 10 this late in the season. That's saying something to me, because to me, it's like I always say this: when a team is playing their best basketball at this point in time, early to mid-February, that's where you want to start playing your best basketball.
No,
If
you're
you
right.
for your conference tournament, before you head into the NCAA tournament, you never want to peak too early. And all these teams that I'm seeing here in the top 10, especially, they're starting to play their best basketball now. The Kansas Jayhawks, before they got throttled by Iowa State, they were a team that was starting to play their best basketball right now, and without Darren Peterson, their star who I've had questions about his health. I mean, honestly, the one game where he sat out late, that kind of raised an eyebrow for me. Like you were experiencing flu-like symptoms in warm-ups, and then decided to be like a late scratch. Now, look, I'm not questioning the kid's character or anything like that, or his heart. I get it, but from an outside looking in, it's like, well, it almost doesn't. And this might seem unfair, but it don't sit right with me that you warm up and you get yourself going, and then it's like, oh, I can't play. No, to me that's just like, come on, man. Like this is like the first time that Kansas was hosting a number one team overall, and you know you're their best player. This is one of them games where you're just like, look, you're gonna have to carry me out of here. Like if I pass out from like flu-like symptoms, that's a different story. That's the only way I'm leaving this game. But I'm playing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's just like my mindset. Maybe that's old school, whatever you want to call it. But that didn't sit right with me. But beside the point, Kansas has been playing really good basketball at the right time. These are teams that are trending in the right direction. And we're in for a great week of college basketball. So starting on Tuesday and heading into this epic weekend.
Absolutely. So again, on record, you think the Big Ten is the best conference?
I do.
Okay, so I disagree. I think it's the Big 12. We got 4 teams in the top 8. You got number 2, number 4, number 6, number 8. Then you got Texas Tech at 13 and BYU. I know BYU is struggling. BYU is an NBA team. They want to outscore you. That's how they win games. Like they struggle in the defensive end. They can't get consistent stops. I think the best conference.
They lost a key guy too to an ACL injury. I can't remember the kid's name, but I just saw he had an ACL injury. I think it was Saunders for BYU.
Okay, I'm about to let me look that up. Go ahead. I'll let you finish talking while you.
Yeah, I'm saying like I'm not disagreeing with you here. Like the Big 12 is definitely one of the best teams as well. But you know, I just look at how many national championship contenders I'm seeing within the Big 10 conference. It's just like you could see like maybe 2 of these teams possibly getting in the Final Four, like at minimum. That's how good I think the Big 10 is this year.
No, I'll give you that. BYU star Richie Saunders suffers a season-ending torn ACL. So yeah, no, you definitely. I think the same way you think about the Big 10, I think about the Big 12. I think about the Big 12. I think Houston can win the championship. I think Kansas can win the championship if they have Peterson. I think he can win. They can win the championship if they have him. Arizona arguably is the best team in the country. I know they lost 2 games. You can make a case they're the best team in the country. And then you still got Iowa State. We just saw them throttle Kansas over the weekend. And then don't sleep on Texas Tech. I saw firsthand. Duke would only have 1 loss if it wasn't for Texas Tech. So I've seen firsthand. You can't give them out. Like I said, with Mr. Toppin, he's not. I think he's a sophomore. I think he's a sophomore or junior. He can hoop. So your best player. Their best player is going to play well and keep them in the game. So, like you said, brother, should be a great, fantastic week of college basketball. We are definitely looking forward. We will definitely recap it next week. Ladies and gentlemen, for the best editor, the best producer, the best guy here on Highly Opinionated, Ross, we thank you very much, bro. You're the best. Keep putting in that great work. Ladies and gentlemen, for the best co-host in the game, the host of the Club JG podcast, you guys make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. My brother, he's doing great things over there. Can't wait to see what's happening this week and the weeks ahead, my brother. Keep up the great work. I am merely Josh. This crew will be back next week, man. We're gonna take y'all to the rest. We're gonna take y'all through the rest of the sports world, for the rest of the sports world, the rest of the sports year. We'll be here until July. So for Ross, for JG, I'm merely Josh. We'll see you guys next week. We out.